Over the flag for backbenchers, just on the Maori party here. Yes, indeed. Show that flag there, Mama.
That's right. Maori party in the whare.
How do you reckon you're going to go next year?
What's that?
How do you reckon you're going to go next year?
We're going to take out all of the Māori seats around the country. Yeah. We're going to have a party vote of at least 6%, and we're going to hold the balance of power and get to choose who runs government.
Calvin?
Oh, come on.
That means she's dreaming.
She's a dreamer. All right. High hopes.
High aspirations.
Hey, now, Maori Language Week, and it's actually, I think it's 40 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but weren't you the CEO for the Maori Language Commission?
I was.
So 40 years on, how's it going?
I don't think that it has gone as far as we would certainly like to see, given that it is our indigenous and it is an official language of New Zealand, and the impact that even the haka has not only on New Zealanders but the world. So I think we could have done more.
40 years on, any reason why not?
Oh, I think the apathy on the part of the wider New Zealand public, and I'm not just confining that comment to non-Māori. I think it applies to Māori as well.
Really?
Yes.
Would you agree with that, Marama?
Well, I tell you, there's a couple of things. Wallace, back in 1867, they passed a bill in Parliament that outlawed Māori language in native schools. And we have been fighting to get it made a core subject in this country ever since and bring it back into our schools. If every child learns Te Reo Māori, Māori language opens up the world to Māori history, Māori culture, and it grows understanding across the nation, helps to eliminate institutionalised racism.
All right, yes, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
hey, by the way, before we go, Calvin, hands up those in the audience who think that Maori language Te Reo should be compulsory in schools. Hands up. Absolutely. That's like 90%. That's 90%.
Well done, backbenchers.
Of a pretty diverse audience. Calvin, what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, it's great that the whole country now thinks that Māori should be compulsory. Look,
a snapshot.
I thought, the backbenchers was representative of the whole country. Right. Hey, look, the big thing is, I grew up in a monolingual house, and just through sheer effort and determination, I've got the ability now to speak Māori. So it's not out of everyone's grasp. We can all do it if we really just akina te reo, give it a go. The big thing though about schools is we can't leave the full responsibility on schools to grow Te Reo Māori. It has to be relevant. At the moment, it's a ceremonial language.
But should it be compulsory, Calvin?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to see it compulsory. Absolutely love to see it compulsory.
Is it personal, or is that a Labour Party thing? Or?
Well, Andrew Little just this morning said he'd love to see it compulsory in schools. So, that's just a fantastic endorsement.
Your leader said probably not, wouldn't like to make it compulsory. What about you?
Yes, I wouldn't make it compulsory.
You would?
I would not. I would encourage it, but
not
enforce it.
Why not?
Well, I think we've got to imagine that language doesn't stand there by itself. So to understand a language, you have to understand a context. You can't just throw words anywhere. To understand a context, you have to understand a culture. Now, if you understand a culture, then we start improving things like tolerance and racial insensitivity and probably a lot of the ills in the world through the language as a tool.
That's right. Learn the language,
so I'm joining that across.
Country.
But I would encourage it, but not enforce it.
We already enforce language in this country. We have to learn English. We have to do science. We have to do art. We have to do 7 curriculum subjects. Why not Te Reo Māori?
There's no evidence that that's going to work. I mean, I'm thinking of Kohanga, right, which was very popular, popular in the 80s. Now that's declined to the extent of
but I'll tell you what the evidence does
dwindled
show us.
from 1993 from half of all Māori preschoolers to now one in 6.
What the evidence does show us is that if you grow children who are bilingual, their ability and their cognitive ability to take on another language, to increase their intellectual power, is doubled, over and over again. If all of us learn a language, it doesn't have to be Māori. I think it should be, but we should all be bilingual in this country and then take on a third as you get into high school.
Every 3 years we lose 1% of our fluent Māori speakers. So we are in a crisis state for Te Reo Māori, and it's going to take a big effort, and Māori can't do it on our own anymore. We need the help of all of New Zealand in order to do it.
That's right.
Round the panel, what's your own Te Reo, your journey, Peter?
Oh, I whānau au I roto te tahi whare tuku pāpa, mohena ki te kororo Māori, engari tuku māma, kārekau. Nā reira, wena ta take karekau iau I akongi te reo Maori I te wā e tamarikana. Engari, toko kaha ki te haka nohi I hana ngā kōrero o ngā mātua tūpuna, wena tatake I kaha nau ki te ako tō tātou reo. What I'm saying is, although I grew up in a household where my father, both parents were Maori, but only my father spoke Maori, and the only time we heard it was when he had a difference of opinion with Mum. But because I was an inquiring kid and wanting to know what people were talking about, especially if they were talking about me, that fed my desire to learn the language.
How did you learn Te Reo, Maori?
When I went to school, I had compulsory French and Latin at my school, I know, and bonjour, comment allez-vous, ça va bien?
Wow.
Right? Boom.
Multilingual.
That's right. But I was always trying to figure out what they were saying, what they were talking about. You know how beautiful our language is, how much I wish everyone in the country could understand the beauty of the things that have been said on our pai. I learnt my language when I took my son to Kohanga Reo beside him. And Kohanga Reo didn't just grow a nation or a generation of children in Te Reo, it grew a generation of parents in the Reo as well.
What about you?
So-
What's your journey?
Yeah, so I couldn't speak Māori until I went to high school. I was fortunate enough to have a fantastic teacher by the name of Charles Berriman who put me on the journey, and I started to sit down at the feet of my kaumātua, basically on the marae, and ask them questions, and gradually picked it up. I read a lot. There's many ways to do it, but the best way to be able to speak Māori is just to speak it.
Shane?
I learned Te Reo mid-career. What happened was I had a lot of patients at a free Māori clinic I was running who were speaking Māori, so I decided I really needed to do this. And so I went and sat at the kura kaupapa in Tikiponga in Whangarei. And the deal was I would take a 20-minute health message, and that would allow me to sit amongst the kids. Kids are very forgiving of a language. You can get it wrong, and kids won't get into you. They won't make fun of you. So it was a very safe environment to learn, and that's where I learnt Māori.